Okay, so you don't remember exactly what he said to you. He was angry. Okay, he sort of acknowledges that he was angry. Then what happened?
I'm sorry, it's a lot. Reliving it. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. He started screaming in my face that we weren't helping and that he would be leaving, but he just was still screaming in my face. And I don't even remember, I'm so sorry. I don't remember exactly what he was saying.
Just take a minute.
It was really scary, that's all I know.
During the agreement that we made.
Who is this?
It's my father. He's my witness.
Good. Stand up, sir.
Is Judy justice? Chastity Rubio Cortez is suing her son, Christian Rubio Cortez, for an unpaid car loan, DUI fees, and tires.
Court come to order. All rise.
Have a seat, please.
Judge, case 3130, Rubio Cortez versus Rubio Cortez.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Ms. Cortez, this is your son. How old are you?
19.
What do you do for a living?
Currently unemployed. I kind of just drive around and deliver food.
Who is this?
It's my father.
Your father and mother are no longer together, I assume?
No.
Is he a witness for you or just here for support?
Yes, ma'am. He's my witness.
Okay. I'm going to start with you, Mr. Cortez. Your mother bought a car for your use. Mm-hmm. In what year?
2022.
So at the time you were 17?
Mm-hmm.
Uh-huh is not an answer.
Yes, ma'am.
And what was the arrangement you had with your mother?
We would buy the car and split it half and half.
Explain that to me. You're going to cut the car in half?
The price was $4,000, so I would pay $2,000 and she would pay $2,000.
Did your mother have her own car?
She did.
So what you're saying is she was going to make a gift to you of the other $2,000?
No, ma'am. She was also going to use the car as well.
But she had her own car?
She did.
What kind of car did she have?
She had a Ford Explorer.
And what kind of car did you buy with your mother?
It's a Honda Civic Coupe.
What year?
2008.
And what year is the Explorer?
2018.
So if I were going to choose a car to drive around, I would choose the Ford Explorer rather than the 10-year-older Honda Civic. That's what I would choose. Take a vote here? Take a vote here? Yeah. Okay. Now, this is what the case is about. Your mother said you still owe money on the car. And your claim to me is you paid for half.
Correct.
And that's all you're supposed to pay for.
Yes, ma'am.
That's a pretty good story. Now, how old were you when you got your first ticket with the car?
17.
What'd you get a ticket for?
I was on my way home from work, and I ended up falling asleep.
Fell asleep at the wheel of the car. What kind of work were you doing?
I was working at a fast food restaurant.
For how many hours?
8 to 10.
What time of the day or night did you fall asleep at the wheel?
I would say 6 p.m.
Did you damage the car?
No, ma'am.
What did you hit?
I just closed.
And that was when you had just gotten the car?
Correct.
Now, when did you get your second ticket?
It was in 2023.
What did you get a ticket for?
I got a DUI.
Did you plead guilty to the DUI?
I did.
How much was the fine for the DUI?
$600.
Who paid that?
My mother.
Well, the $600, now you're over the age of 18. $600 is your punishment for driving while drunk or intoxicated with something else. You wouldn't ask somebody to do your jail time for you. You wouldn't say to my mom, I don't like to be in jail. Could you please go for me? You wouldn't say that to her, right?
No.
Well, the $600 is your penalty for breaking the law. Did you pay your mother back?
Yes, ma'am.
The whole $600?
Yes, ma'am.
Is that true?
That's not correct.
Did he pay you anything towards the $600?
Not towards the $600 yet. He's still paying off the car. He still hasn't paid it off. And the first ticket.
Well, the first ticket was when he was 17 years old.
Yes, ma'am.
And as far as I'm concerned, that ticket is on you. Because I wouldn't have let him keep the car for a second after he had the car for a short period of time, drove recklessly, and then fell asleep at the wheel. Somebody had to have reported it. What he said, he was sleeping. Do you understand? Do you know the circumstances of that? Why don't you tell me?
He was coming home from work, and he did end up driving recklessly and kind of hit an embankment, but didn't total the car or anything.
Well, when did he go to sleep?
Well, he was driving, I guess. I wasn't there.
Well, that's what I asked him. I'm not getting an answer from him.
Yeah. I mean, he got a ticket for reckless driving, and he fell asleep. So,
You mean he fell asleep first?
yes.
Okay. Well, I wasn't following this. That he fell asleep at the wheel.
Yes.
As a result of which he drove recklessly, for which he got a ticket.
Yes.
Because he was still driving or in the car moving when he was stopped by the police.
Yes, ma'am.
Now, how much are you supposed to pay on the car per week?
$65.
How much in total did you pay on the car?
It was $2,112.
Just on the car? Mm-hmm. And how much did you pay your mother in total?
And then there was another $1,420, and that is for the DUIs and other tickets.
So in total, you're going to show me $35.32 in payments to your mother.
Yes, ma'am.
Is that right? Is that what you have? Okay.
Chastity Rubio Cortez claims her son, Christian Rubio Cortez, owes for an unpaid car loan, DUI fees, and tires.
Now, how much do you have, Miss Cortez, as his total payments to you for everything?
For everything, he has paid on the car $3,235, and he still owes for the DUI fees, the tire rims.
Forget tire rims, forget tires. If you want to pay for his tire rims, that's your business. I don't care if you drive a tire without rims, but nuts and bolts in there. Not when he hasn't paid other tickets. That's on you.
Well, I mean, I was just
He
thinking of
paid
his safety money.
$3,235. Well, not so much difference. There's a difference in $300. Now, tell me what your father is going to testify to.
He was there during the agreement that we made.
Good. Stand up, sir. Tell me your last name.
Rubio Cortez.
Mr. Cortez, I want you to think back 2 years when your son was 17. Were you and your wife together at that point?
No.
Where were you when you heard the discussion between your former wife and your son?
I was home,
In whose home?
in my home,
Who lives with you?
my other son.
What was your former wife doing there?
No, I just heard.
Look at me.
Yes, ma'am.
You were home. She wasn't there.
Uh-huh.
So you weren't all in the same house together.
No, my other son, he goes and hang out with them. So that's how I was noticed that they was going to buy another car.
So you don't have no personal first-hand knowledge of anything, is that correct?
No much because
Not much. Well, that was my question.
Yes, ma'am.
I said you have no first-hand personal knowledge of anything.
Yes, ma'am.
Now you can sit. What'd you think he was going to say? What did you think he was going to say to me? You said he was a witness to the agreement that you made with your mother. How's that?
Because me and my brother have both told him about it. And he was...
Okay, very good. Because you told your father. Was your brother there when you and your mother allegedly made this agreement?
Yes, he switched between houses.
Just a second. Where is your brother now?
Not here.
Where is he?
He's at work or home, I guess.
Okay. And so you mind telling me why you brought your father instead of your brother, who you say actually heard this agreement?
Because he couldn't make it.
He couldn't make it because he was home.
He just told me he couldn't make it.
Just a second. Now, you owe your mother $2,600 for the car. Judgment for the plaintiff. We're finished. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
This court is adjourned.
We agreed to split it, and she expected me to pay more than what we agreed upon.
Well, because he's not taking responsibility of his actions.
And after that, we got into an argument, and ever since then, we just haven't been on good terms.
He's upset with me right now, but I think it will be okay.
Probably not at the moment going to be talking with her that much, but I'm sure I'll be talking to her again soon.
You know, he could not make a contract with his mother when he was 17.
True.
But because he made payments after he was 18, he ratified that contract. The reason that I didn't give her any money for the first ticket was because once he got that first ticket for reckless driving, I would have taken that car away. I wouldn't have kept it in my name. And the kid, clearly, the young man has an ongoing battle with the truth. The father, however,
He was honest.
well, not really.
It almost sounded like he thought he could really be a witness because his other son had told him
You think so?
something.
You believe in humanity, I think, maybe a little more than I do. I think that he just got caught.
That's also possible.
So you were cooking tacos. You started to yell because he was getting his food first.
I was raised out in my house, lady eat first before men.
That's when her mom started tripping. This woman punched me in my face twice.
He supported your family.
Yes.
You were eating tacos that he bought.
Yeah, but
That might have entitled him to take his food first.
This is Judy Justice. Daniel Denham is suing his ex-girlfriend, Tamra Hoffbauer, and her daughter, Danae Outlaw, for an unpaid loan, unauthorized debit card charges, and a false arrest.
Court come to order. All rise.
Have a seat, please.
Judge, case 3177, Denham versus Hoffbauer, outlaw.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Your last name is?
Hoffbauer?
That's your daughter.
Yes.
17?
Yes.
Mr. Denham, you first met Miss Hoffbauer, according to your complaint, years ago. Is that correct?
Yes.
And that was in Minnesota,
Yes, it was.
where you were both living.
Yeah.
How old are you, sir?
31, ma'am.
And how old are you?
40.
You have 3 children.
Yes.
How old are they?
15, 17, and 19.
How old were you when you met the defendant?
19.
And how old were you?
I was 30, 31.
Doesn't all add up, but close. And you had a physical relationship. Is that right?
Yes.
Then you moved to California.
Yes.
In what year did you move to California?
Well, I moved out of town first, and then I later moved to California right after. But I was about like 8 years into that.
Okay. And then somehow you and Miss Hoffbauer reconnected. When was that?
I was around, it's like November of 2022. It was a year of 2022, I know that for sure. I'm not quite sure of the date, but it was in.
You reconnected how? On the internet?
Yes.
And according to what I read, you became close again, and you decided that you would move back to Minnesota, where Miss Hoffbauer lived with her 3 children. Is that right?
Only under the conditions of what I was doing for her, of course.
All I made was a stark statement, which was you decided to go back to live in Minnesota with Miss Hoffbauer and her 3 children.
My apologies, yes.
And she didn't have any money. She had lost a job, she says. She was struggling financially. Where were you living, Miss Hoffbauer, when you were having this internet romance with the plaintiff?
In 2022,
No, just answer my question. Where were you living?
in my car.
With your 3 children?
Yes.
So you sent her $6,200 in order to find a place to live for herself, the 3 children, and you were going to join them. That's the story that I'm getting. Is that right?
Yes, and it was also to fix her car, too.
But you sent $6,200, and you do not deny that he sent you $6,200.
Nope.
No is the answer. And with that $6,200, you found a place to live, a rental.
Yes.
You put down month's rent, month's security, last month. How much was it that you put down?
$3,500.
And what did you do with the rest of the $6,200?
I fixed my car. I needed.
Just a second. You
sorry.
fixed your car.
Yep, fixed my car.
Yes.
And bought household, like some furniture and household items I needed.
In what month and year did you move to Minnesota, Mr. Denham?
October 27th of 2023.
And in what month did you get the apartment? Was that also in October?
It was before that. It was in August is when I moved into my apartment.
The apartment he paid for? Mm-hmm. Yeah. So you moved in August 1st?
Yep.
Yep,
It was
it's not an
October.
answer.
Yes.
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 It's an answer. And he joined you a couple of months later.
Yes.
You were working in California?
Yes.
What kind of work were you doing?
I was working for a company called Con Global. It's a car shipping port. I was shipping Teslas.
Did you have a job waiting for you in Minnesota?
Yes, I did, but it fell through. But I later ended up getting a new job.
In Minnesota?
Yeah.
So you were there the end of October, and you were there the month of November, living together, and the month of December.
Yes.
On December 31st, which is New Year's Eve, you were cooking.
Yes.
What were you cooking?
I was cooking tacos
For whom?
for the family.
Had you gotten a job, Miss Hoffbauer? The answer was either a yes or a no.
No.
So you did not have a job from the time you moved into the apartment until December 31st.
Yes.
Is that correct?
Yes.
And Mr. Denham was supporting you and your 3 children because prior to Mr. Denham, you were living in your car.
Yes.
All that is true.
Yes.
So you were cooking tacos.
Yes.
And what happened?
Okay, so the meat had just got done.
No, just a second. You were cooking tacos, and what happened?
And he got up to get his food first.
To get his food first?
Yes.
And?
I had felt some type of way.
You speak slowly so that I can hear you.
I had felt some type of way when he got up to get his food first.
What did she say?
She felt some type of way when he got up first
Well,
to
what
get his
kind
food.
of way? Don't speak. What kind of way did you feel when Mr. Denham got up to get his food first? And I want you to speak slowly so I don't have to use an interpreter.
I felt like aggravated, like, because, like, I feel like he shouldn't have got his food first. Like,
that he should not have?
No, because, like, I was raised that in my house, the lady eat first before men. That's how I was raised. And I felt some type of way when he got his food first.
Okay, so you were annoyed, some type of way.
Yep.
An unhappy type of way. An unhappy type of way when he went to get his food first, right? It's not an answer.
Yeah.
Yes is an answer.
Daniel Denham claims his ex-girlfriend, Tamra Hoffbauer, and her daughter, Danae Outlaw, owe for an unpaid loan and unauthorized debit card charges. Tamra is countersuing Daniel for an assault.
Okay, so what did you do? What did you do?
I walked away after, and then he started arguing with my mom.
No. You said something. Look at me. Turn your body around, look at me. What did you say to him when he got up to get his food first?
I said, you shouldn't be able to get your food first. And then I said, you shouldn't be able to get your food first. I was yelling. I was mad. I was like...
You were yelling and you were bad. Just a second. That's better. Because it's like I was there, right? Like I have a camera inside. So you started to yell at Mr. Denham because he was getting his food first.
Yes.
I want to ask you this question. You had now lived in the household with Mr. Denham for 2 months.
Yes.
Had you ever heard your mother and Mr. Denham arguing?
Yes.
What did they argue about?
Money.
What was the argument about?
It was about him trying to say that my mom has to give all the money that he gave to my mom back to him.
Okay, so that they were arguing about this $6,200.
Yes.
That he said, you have to give that back to me.
Yes.
And your mom said...
My mom said that she didn't...
No. He said, you have to give that money back to me.
Yes.
And your mom said what?
No.
No, and that's what they argued about.
Yes.
Yes. So now you're telling me he's got to wait to eat dinner.
Yes.
And you were yelling at him.
Yes.
You yelled at him first.
Yes.
And then what happened?
After I yelled at him, he went to the bed to sit back down to eat his food. And then that's when my mom stepped in to defend me because he was still arguing with me.
Well, just a second. He sat down on the bed to eat his food.
Yep. Yes.
And then your mother came out and he's sitting eating his food.
Yes.
And what did your mother say to him?
Nothing, because we were still arguing. Me and him were still arguing.
What were you arguing about? He was eating.
He was eating, and he also said that he spent $50,000 on me by myself. That's what made me really mad because I don't like when people throw money in my face. And then he was trying to throw money in my face, trying to say he spent all the money on me, and he never spent nothing on me.
Well, you were living in a house he paid for. You were eating tacos that he bought.
Yeah, but...
You were living in Minnesota in December, where it's very cold, and he was paying for the heat, right? You were driving around in a car that wasn't working, that your mother had fixed with his money.
Yes.
All of those things are true, right?
Yes.
Okay. That might have entitled him to take his food first. So he's sitting and eating. Your mother comes over to defend you because you're yelling at him about he's taking his food.
Yes.
And then what happened?
And then after that, him and my mom started arguing.
Okay. Was he still sitting on the bed eating his food? So he's sitting. Is your mother standing or sitting?
She's sitting on the bed, too.
So she's sitting on the bed, and she's yelling at him, and you're yelling at him.
And then I went in my room, and then I let them argue. And then they were both yelling, and then that's when they got... I don't know what happened, because I didn't see him slap my mom really like that. I went in my room, and then he just slapped my mom, and then that's when I came out there.
Well, you said you didn't see that.
No, I didn't really see like.
Just a second. You'd said, I didn't see that.
No, I ran in my room after I heard a little bit of it. After I heard a little bit going on, I ran back out there, and that's when I ran out there to call the police. I ran in the hallway, called police, and he ran out there after me, and he snatched my phone on my hand and hung up the phone, and said, "Don't call the police." And then after that, I ran into the neighbor's house and called the police for them to come, because he was trying to take my phone. Then said, "Don't call the police," when he slapped my mom.
You didn't see that?
No.
No. Somebody have a police report?
I do.
I'd like to see it. You have the district attorney's dismissal of your case?
I wasn't able to obtain it.
Okay, but it's over.
Yeah.
Your case is over. It was never tried. Did you speak to the police that day?
Yes.
Well, you just told me a story, then the first couple of lines of the police report are different from the police. I'm just telling you.
Yes.
The first few lines of the police report are different. You said you were raised that a man doesn't take his food first, they eat last. That's what you just told me, correct? She can read that back. That's why Whitney is here.
Yes.
You told the police that you argued about how much food he took to eat. How much food, not that he went first. So that wasn't true, right?
Yes. Yes.
Well, this police report is interesting. It says that you got involved in this argument and you poked him in the chest and punched him in the right eye. That's what the police report says.
Oh, I did not.
That's what the police report says. And then he slapped you on the left side of your face with his right hand. That's what the police report says. Is that what happened, sir?
No.
Well, you want to tell me what happened?
I'm going to tell you exactly what happened, Your Honor.
Well, that's what I want to hear, exactly what happened.
I was cooking the food since the beginning. Danae was nowhere to be found. I don't even know where she was at the time I was cooking.
You mean the daughter?
Yeah, the daughter. It's 8 pounds of meat. It was me, her, Danae, Samantha, and the other teenage daughter, Danae. Cooking the food, just cooking it. It's done. No one's trying to eat. I even said it was done. I scooped up my food, one taco, sat down and started eating. She goes in there, scrapes the pot. "Damn, Dino, why you eating up all the food?"
Who said that?
The daughter. Then she starts going off, telling me demands, telling me I need to get the out of her house.
Is that what you said to him?
Yes, it is.
Shh. Is that what you said to him?
Yes.
Okay, and?
Or she's calling the cops. And she started calling the cops. So I'm like, what are you doing? Why are you calling the cops? I'm not going anywhere. I've been paying all the bills, this, that, and the other. She just kept on going, and she ended up actually calling the cops. And I'm telling her, get off the phone. What are you doing? That's when her mom started jumping in the conversation. She started tripping. And once I brought up that I just helped you guys out from being stranded, this woman punched me in my face twice.
You let go of her hand.
I wasn't even trying to smack her. I was trying to block her from punching me. And I guess the block was like a smack to her, but I didn't smack her.
Okay.
It was like my fingertips.
Whatever.
nipped her.
She put her hands on you first.
Yes.
That's what it says in the police report.
Daniel Denham has accused his ex-girlfriend, Tamra Hoffbauer, and her daughter, Danae Outlaw, of owing for an unpaid loan and unauthorized debit card charges. Tamra claims Daniel assaulted her.
Now, you were arrested, charges were dismissed. Ultimately, that case is over. Am I correct?
Yes.
This is what you're suing for. And I'm not even asking you. I asked your daughter. So I'm not going to ask you about the event. I'm just going to ask you as follows. It is true that August, September, October, November, and December, he supported your family.
Yes.
It is. That would be true. And if I believe your daughter, if I believed your daughter, which I don't, it would have been rude of her,
Yes.
to say to him, what are you doing eating that food first?
Yes.
Would have been rude of her.
Yes.
And when she came to get you, did she come to get you? Or did you hear her?
I was in the living room. I was out there.
Okay, so you were there. So
Yep.
you heard what happened.
I saw everything,
Your
yes.
daughter was rude to the man who was taking care of you and your family. He hadn't been rude to you.
Yes, he was.
Tell me when he was rude to you on December 31st.
He was rude earlier all day that day. He's had an attitude the whole day.
Okay, now, when the police arrested you, how long were you held?
I was held for 3 days.
3 days. From December 31st through January 3rd?
Yes.
And it is your claim that in addition to the $6,200, which your daughter actually acknowledged was a loan because you had been asked to repay it over the entire course of him living there. And that's what you fought about. Look at me. That's what they fought about. Your mother returning the money that he had sent her to get started with her children. They fought about that.
Yes.
That's what you said before.
Yes.
Now, between December 31st and January 3rd, when you were released, were there charges made on your credit card?
Yeah, he spent all my money.
Just a second. Well, I would like to see that.
I also filed a police report about my stolen wallet.
Just a second. So now I'm going to ask you a couple of questions, Ms. Hoffbauer. Between December 31st and January 3rd, did you take any money or use any property that belonged to the plaintiff?
I did. I had
Just a
his
second.
permission.
The answer is yes.
Yep. Yes.
And I assume you had no communication with him while he was in jail.
No.
So you didn't have permission to take that money.
Can I say something?
You had no permission to
I
take
did,
that.
though. I had his card before. And
Whether you
I
had his card before or not.
He gave me his card a couple days before that. That card was in my wallet. And I also have text messages asking his dad to come get his stuff, his wallet. Like, come pick it up. Nobody stole his wallet. Because there was an OFP.
Shh. Who are you?
Samantha Neely.
What do you have to do with this case?
I was there the night of the argument and the assault and pretty much a witness because I'm over with...
Was she there?
Yeah, she was there.
Mm-hmm. Okay, now I want you to be real careful. Do you understand?
Yes.
Really careful. You can stand up. Who was cooking? Who? Careful what you say to me. Just be real careful.
Dino.
Because you got here from Minnesota.
Yes.
I assume you want to get back to Minnesota.
Yes.
You lie to me, you don't get back to Minnesota on my dime. You understand that?
Gotcha.
Who was cooking?
Dino.
Point. He was cooking. So far, we're doing okay. And when he was finished cooking, he took his food and went over to sit down where?
Onto the mattress in the living room.
Okay. Now, when he took his food, what did she say to him?
She yelled out loud, "You're taking too much food. You shouldn't eat first. Kids and ladies should eat first."
And what did he answer?
He answered, "There's enough to feed everybody."
There was nothing wrong with that, right?
Right.
Right. When did she tell him to get out of their house?
Right then and there.
Right then and there. He said, "There's enough to feed everybody," right?
Correct.
And she said, "Get out of my house."
Correct.
Now you can sit down. You can go home to Minnesota. You see, the witness says you're a liar. Do you understand that, don't you? Huh?
Yes.
Your witness, $6,200. How much was withdrawn in total, Mr. Denham, while you were incarcerated?
14, 23, 13.
Did you finally get a job?
Yes.
When?
2 months ago.
Months ago, that would be February. Well, meal ticket was gone. Got to get a job. Okay, 7623. Counterclaims dismissed. We're done. Goodbye.
This court is adjourned.
And I'm just tired of dealing with it. I'm just glad it's over with. Justice is going to always prevail, man, and the truth is going to come out regardless. So I cared about them, you know what I'm saying? I had real love for them, you know? I didn't want to have them out here suffering. I got history with them, so it just killed me that they betrayed me like that and trying to screw me over and think they're going to get away with it. I'm going to get a restraining order. Like, I don't want to ever see him again. It definitely bit the hand that fit him.
That little girl was some piece of work.
Oh, yeah. Not so little. 17.
She's 17.
You're away from being a legal adult.
Yeah, some piece of work. When I saw how this went, felt sorry for him.
Yeah.
Felt sorry for him. And he spent 3 days in jail.
Yeah. And you could tell just at 17, you know, that frontal lobe is not fully developed yet. And you knew the situation. You knew you weren't paying the bills. You knew your sister wasn't paying the bills. You knew your mother wasn't paying the bills. And so to pop off because you felt some type of way about the order in which you ate dinner that he paid for, you know, is just so short-sighted and just proves her immaturity. So, you know, not much you could do, but I'm glad he got his money back.
Can you imagine what our household would look like if I yelled every time Poppy ate his food first?
Oh, no, Poppy always eats
Poppy
first.
always eats first.
Yep, and sometimes all of it.
Right. You hit her with your motorcycle.
I did.
She was on the side of the road.
Are you suggesting that he hit her on purpose? She was jaywalking in the middle of the street, right?
He was not in the middle of the road when he hit her.
I don't care. He was where he was supposed to be. She was not where she was supposed to be.
This is Judy Justice. Casey Griffin is suing motorcyclist Jeffrey Pearson for damages after Casey's 16-year-old daughter, Kennedy, was struck by Jeffrey while crossing the streets.
Court come to order. All rise.
Have a seat, please.
Judge, case 3184, Griffin versus Pearson.
Thank you, Kevin.
You're welcome.
This was an accident. Your daughter was involved in an accident, in an automobile accident. She was a pedestrian.
Yes, ma'am.
You were not there.
I was not.
Okay, so why don't you sit down, daughter, stand up. Tell me your first name.
Kennedy.
Kennedy, on what day were you involved in an accident?
December 28th.
What time?
Around 6, between 6 and 7 o'clock at night.
Dark.
Mm-hmm.
Where do you live?
I live in Fulton, but the accident happened in Jeff City.
In what state?
Missouri.
You were on foot. You were walking.
Mm-hmm.
Where were you going to or coming from?
I was leaving my sister's house across the street, and I was crossing the street to get to my brother's car.
So go over there and show me where you were crossing. Show me your sister's house.
I'm not sure which one it is.
You're right in the middle of a block.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so you're leaving your sister's house in the middle of a block. And show me where you were going.
I was going across to over here.
You were crossing in the middle of the street.
Mm-hmm.
And it was dark.
Yes.
When you cross the street in the middle of the block in the dark, are there street lamps on that street? Yes or no? Do you know? Or if you don't know, tell me I don't know.
I don't know.
Are there street lamps on your street?
There are, but most of them don't work.
Okay, so there are no street lights. If they don't work, then there are no lights. So it's dark, right?
Yes.
And you're crossing in the middle of the block. Mm-hmm. You wearing any reflective clothing?
No.
So tell me what happened.
So me and my brother went to visit my sister. She lives in Jeff City, which is 30 minutes away.
I got all that. You're crossing the street.
We were gonna leave, so we were gonna get in my brother's car instead of my sister's. My brother had parked across the street, and he had already crossed the street, so I was going behind him. I had looked both ways. There was nobody coming, so I was crossing the street, and my sister was behind me. She hadn't gotten on the street yet. And as I'm walking, in my peripheral vision, I see a motorcycle come like from off the intersection, turn onto the road that I'm walking on. And I wasn't close to the end of the road at all, so I figured he would have time to see me.
Let me stop you right there, and let me process what you just said. You thought that he would have time to see you.
Yes.
You were thinking what he would be thinking.
Yes.
And?
And I was already more than halfway across the street. I only had a few more steps to get to the other side. So I just quickened up a little bit, and I was almost fully across the street, and then I got hit.
Whose fault is that?
Honestly, I wouldn't say it's anyone's fault.
Well, certainly not his fault. Certainly not his fault. You saw him.
Yes.
Okay. You're jaywalking in the middle of the street, not at a corner. You saw him, and you said to yourself, Self, I think I can make it, right? Mm-hmm. And you didn't. I mean, you don't think that this man sped up because he saw you to hit you, right? Of course not. You don't think he hit you intentionally, right?
No.
You understand that you were in the wrong crossing in the middle of the street.
No.
Well, you are. You're supposed to cross at the corner. That way, people stop. I don't know if you have stop signs, if you have lights. Stop signs or light?
Neither.
Where?
There's not a stop sign or a light. There's a light at the very end of the street.
Okay. Well, I'd like you to go over to the street where you live. And I want you to show me where the light is.
It's not in this picture. It's at the very end.
Okay. Now, on the other street, below...
This one?
That one. Is it a two-way street?
Yes.
It's a two-way street. And at the intersection there, you have 4 lanes of traffic, and you're telling me there's no stop sign or yield sign?
There's a stop sign here.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Of course there's a stop sign. So at the other end of the street, there's a light, and at the corner, there's a stop sign where vehicles have to stop. Right? Right. Now you can step back. So you got hit. And what happened?
I didn't black out. I wasn't unconscious, but it was kind of blurry for a few moments. I just really remember getting hit. I rolled a few times. Everything really became clear again. A few moments later, my legs hurt a lot. I stayed on the ground for a while. I don't know exactly how long. I want to say somewhere between 10 and 20 minutes until the ambulance got there, and they put me on a stretcher and took me to the ambulance.
Casey Griffin claims motorcyclist Jeffrey Pearson hit her 16-year-old daughter, Kennedy, while crossing the streets. Jeffrey is countersuing Casey for motorcycle damages.
Go ahead.
I remember he was there too. He apologized for the accident, and he said he didn't mean to do it, and I believed him. I said, it's okay, and I said, thank you. At some point, he left. I remember my brother was there with me while I was still on the road.
And where was your sister?
She was there. I could see her pacing in the peripheral vision, and I could see she was on the phone with somebody, but I couldn't hear. And I think there were 3, maybe 2 people around me. My brother was definitely one of them. He was right to my side, on the ground, kneeling above me, and he had called my mom. There was another person, I think somebody who was just driving and got out of their car, and he said...
No, don't tell me what anybody said that got out of their car.
All right.
You can't. It's the law. You can't tell me what somebody else said. The ambulance took you to the hospital?
Yes.
Did you stay in the hospital?
Until 2 in the morning.
So you didn't spend the night there?
No.
And did they take x-rays? You had no broken bones?
No.
Had some scrapes? I'm going to ask you a couple of other questions that maybe you don't know. Now I'm going to have your mom stand up. When this happened, the defendant gave someone, either your brother or your sister, his information, his insurance information, et cetera. That's correct, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
And did you contact his insurance company?
Yes, ma'am, I did.
And ultimately, his insurance company said the accident was your daughter's fault and they weren't covering any of her expenses.
No, that's not what they told me.
What did they tell you?
They told me that he didn't have coverage. I have the voicemail for it.
Did you have coverage?
I did, ma'am. I do believe that they didn't cover it because it wasn't my fault. That's what I was told.
Do you have a letter from your insurance company?
I have one of my insurance cards, a picture of it.
Okay, I'll take a look at that for now. After his insurance company told you either he didn't have insurance or they weren't paying the bill, did you consult with a lawyer?
No, ma'am, I didn't.
Okay. Now, you just heard your daughter tell me, and she's absolutely charming, lovely, honest, that she didn't think this accident was anybody's fault. You agree with that?
I don't. From what I've been told, no, I don't.
I'd like you to tell me why. Let me recap the facts for you.
Okay.
He hasn't said a word really yet, but from what your daughter tells me, and as I said, she's lovely and bright and articulate and I think honest.
She is.
She was jaywalking in the middle of the street, not at a stop sign, not at a light. I haven't asked him, but it's clear even from your daughter's rendition that he certainly didn't intentionally hit her, right? Your daughter says that her brother jaywalked first, crossed over. She was going second, and her older sister, I'm right, you were her older sister, right?
Yes.
Was behind her. She said when she got almost to the middle of the block, she saw from her peripheral vision.
I was more than halfway across the street.
She was more than halfway across the street. She saw in her peripheral vision his motorcycle, which had its lights on, but she thought she could make it because she said, I thought that he would see me and either stop or go around. I don't know what you thought, either stop, go around. She thought that he would be able to see her. It was like looking in a crystal ball. And he did, in fact, hit her because she was mistaken. He didn't see her, right? No lights. She's crossing in the middle of the street. She saw him. He didn't see her. And it was an accident. Because what my shock is that you are suing him for not only actual damages from whatever out of pocket you may have had, but punitive damages. And you know what that is?
Yes, ma'am, I do.
To punish him for a wrongdoing. Why would you think that he did something to be punished for a wrongdoing?
Because she was already across the street. She was on the side of the road. He was not in the middle of the road when he hit her. She was on the side of the road when she got hit.
That's not what she told me. And your daughter is touching you now, and she's saying to Mom, she's touching you, and she's saying, that's not what happened. She wasn't, your daughter didn't tell me that she was not in the middle of the road. I mean, when you say middle of the road, she wasn't on a street. She was crossing. She's not supposed to cross there.
That's what I'm saying. That's what she said, but she was already across the street. My daughter has the pictures where the motorcycle was when she was hit. Her
Oh, I
head
would like
on.
to see that. If you,
Yes.
Just a second. If you have proof.
Yes.
That, if you have proof that he went up where the cars were parked or went up on the street and hit her, I'd like to see that.
Okay.
Your daughter says she really thought she could make it. So she kept going, which means she was in the middle of the road. She was in the road where he was supposed to be and she was not supposed to be. If you're telling me that he actually went up on the street and hit her, I'd love to see that.
Okay.
Okay, great. You have that?
Well, he didn't come up on the side of the road, but.
Well, that's what your mother just said.
He was very close to the sidewalk. She was probably about 2 steps away from the sidewalk.
I don't care. He was where he was supposed to be. She was not where she was supposed to be.
I think it was just more so, it was kind of impossible for him not to see her. Because she was basically crossing the street.
You're not suggesting that what your daughter says is true, that it was basically not possible for him not to see her. That would mean to me that he hit her on purpose. Are you suggesting that he hit her on purpose?
No, ma'am, I wasn't there, so.
You're not suggesting he hit her on purpose.
No.
Of course not, because his motorcycle was damaged. Why would he hit her on purpose? Okay.
Casey Griffin is accusing motorcyclist Jeffrey Pearson of hitting her 16-year-old daughter Kennedy while crossing the streets. Jeffrey claims Kennedy caused the accident and damaged his motorcycle.
An accident is what happens when people don't mean to do something on purpose. That's an accident. When you look at an accident, you have to say, listen, if you have a toddler, a 2-3-year-old, and that 2 or 3-year-old darts out between 2 cars, and a motorist can't stop in time and hits that child, whose fault is that? I'm asking you a question. I want you to picture this. Cars parked on both sides of the street, motorist is going within the speed limit, right? Mm-hmm. And a little kid darts in between 2 cars out in the street, and the car hits him. And he's hurt. Whose fault is that?
The child.
Actually, it's not the child's. It's the parents who were supposed to be watching him. Now, nobody's suggesting that you're supposed to watch your daughter because she's grown up, almost. Mm-hmm. Because she's allowed out at night, you allow her to make decisions for yourself. She's as tall as you are. She's bright. So she has to take responsibility for herself. She didn't dart, but he's not aware of what's going on in her mind. So this was an accident. And I can't ascribe any blame to him for that accident unless you saw her.
I did not.
Well, tell me, you were traveling and you hit her with your motorcycle.
I did.
If you had hit her going 55 miles an hour, she would be dead.
Presumably so, yes.
She not only fortunately was not dead, she wasn't seriously injured.
Correct.
Which suggests to a reasonable person that there was not an excessive speed involved. So I want you to tell me what you saw as you were riding down the street.
I thought it was closer to 8 p.m. I turned off of the highway coming from the store and got up to the stop sign, and I went right, which is where this happened.
Point over there.
Can I go here?
Go ahead.
Okay. I come off the highway right here at the stop sign and turn up this way. And as I'm coming up here, there's another car coming down this way toward me. And the car coming toward me, the headlight blinked out for a second. So I let off my throttle on my bike. And then next thing I know, 3 feet in front of me, a girl appears. Now I'm riding down the middle of my lane. I'm not on the sides. I'm not in the middle of the road. I'm in the middle of my lane. When I seen her, I tried to veer off, but I couldn't. And my bike came to a rest. Right there's the entrance to the parking lot. My bike came to a rest right here. She was right here at the corner of that entrance, and I was off my bike trying to help her.
Okay. What happened to your motorcycle?
It damaged the front end of it. I mean, it demolished the front end of my motorcycle. I have pictures if you'd like to see them.
I would.
I also have an estimate on how much damage it did.
This is an older bike.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, I can see it's an older bike. What year bike is it?
It's a 1994.
When did you buy it?
About a year ago, year and a half ago.
Who'd you buy it from?
On the internet, right off Facebook.
How much did you pay for it?
I paid $1,500 for it.
Just for giggles, I want to see the estimate that you're going to give me. Okay, so, Mr. Pearson.
Yes, ma'am.
You're suing counterclaiming
Yes, ma'am.
because the accident wasn't your fault. And I am finding that the accident was your fault. That but for the fact that you were crossing in the middle of the street, you actually shouldn't have been where you were. He was in the right. You were not. You actually saw him and miscalculated whether or not you could beat him to the corner. That's what you told me. So it's clear to me that this accident was not his fault, but yours. He was clearly not speeding, because if he was speeding, you would have been seriously injured or worse. But, Mr. Pearson, you say you paid $1,500 for the entire motorcycle.
Right.
You're suing her for $3,500.
Right.
Well, doesn't that sound silly to you?
No, ma'am.
Well, it is silly.
The condition that the bike was in when I bought it to what it is now, and to put it back to that condition.
Buy another 1994 bike.
Okay.
Do you understand?
Yeah.
Buy another 1994 bike. Sarah Rose, bring up on your trusty calculator. 1994.
Wait, a calculator or
Yeah,
Google?
Google,
Yeah.
whatever it is. I don't know what kind of bike this is.
Honda CBR.
Honda CBR?
Yes, ma'am.
CBR.
600.
You want a price? Or...
Yeah. 1994 Honda CBR.
For a very good condition, $3,145, and then it jumps from good condition is about $1,500.
Good condition is $1,500. Well, that's what he paid for it.
Another one just sold for $3,700, fixed up. $3,000 just
Really?
sold.
You got a very good deal, sir, on this motorcycle.
Yes, I
Who'd you
did.
buy it from?
I bought it from a guy up in Troy, Missouri.
Did you put any work into it?
A lot.
A lot. Like, what did you do to it?
The motor had been redone.
After you bought it,
Yeah.
not before you bought it.
No.
That's it?
Yeah.
Okay. Mr. Pearson, believe it or not, I really believe that you're entitled to some compensation for the damage caused to your bike. I think she was negligent in crossing the way she did. She was crossing where she shouldn't have been crossing. She saw your bike. She decided to cross anyway. That's the scenario. She decided to cross anyway. She thought she could make it. Well, she didn't. She was injured. That's not your fault. Your bike was injured. That would be her fault. Got it?
Yes, ma'am.
And you're going to get what you paid for your bike, $1,500.
Okay.
Judgment on the counterclaim for $1,500. Your claim is dismissed. We're finished. Thank you very much.
This court is adjourned.
I was terrified because I didn't know if she was gonna live, if she was severely hurt or anything, so I was scared.
I wasn't at fault for anything, so I think that I should be paid for the damages to my bike since her daughter ran out in front of me.
He actually told the police officer that his bike was already broke, like it was, before he hit my daughter.
The bike was in almost mint shape.
I was just scared, but when I seen her and I seen that she was okay, I was fine.
I didn't see her until she's about 3 feet in front of my bike, and I couldn't do nothing.
It was really scary.
She didn't even have any visible wounds or anything.
I still don't think the accident was my fault.
Look both ways before you cross the road.
I'm just happy she's still here.
I thought that she was absolutely charming,
Yes.
honest, articulate, and it's true. You know, you're not an insurer just because you're driving a vehicle. You're not. I mean, the example that I gave about the toddler
Yeah.
crossing the street.
I think she understood after that. helped her put it in perspective a
You
little
think
bit.
so?
I think so.
I hope so. She and her mother should just be grateful that she had a couple of scrapes and bruises, but nothing worse than that.
Yeah.
Because if he were going any faster, or if it was a car, she wouldn't be so lucky.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. Cross at the green, not in between. That's what you teach your children. I didn't always do that, but if you don't cross at the green, not in between, and if you get into an accident,
It's your fault.
It's your fault. You got out of the car, and he punched you.
Absolutely. He proceeded to keep pounding on me.
There is no indication here from you to the police that he ever put his hands on you.
He beat me up.
Be careful. I've been doing this for 50 years. Do you understand?
This is Judy Justice. Lucretia Gaines is suing her ex-brother-in-law, Dwight Francis, for assault and a false arrest.
Court come to order. All rise.
Have a seat, please.
Hello, Judge. Case 3030, Gaines versus Francis.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Miss Gaines, who is this?
My witness, my twin sister, Lucinda Gaines.
And your sister is married, but in the process of divorcing the defendant.
Actually, they're already divorced.
When were you divorced?
August 18th, 2022.
Okay. The events surrounding this case happened in November of 2020.
Yes.
Each one of you claim that they were assaulted by the other. In November of 2020, your sister and the defendant were having trouble in their marriage. That be a fair statement?
Yes.
And your sister had complained previously to you that the defendant was trying to get her in trouble, alleging that she assaulted him.
Absolutely.
So on November the 8th, you receive a call from your sister.
No, we was already on the phone, Your Honor.
So you were on the phone with your sister.
Yes.
And I want you to relay the conversation that you had with your sister on that date.
Well, we were just sitting there chatting like we always do. We were just laughing, talking about her schoolwork. I was talking about my schoolwork. We both had tests coming up, so we were just relating to each other in that manner that we always do every day.
Okay, let's go. Move it along.
Anyway, all of a sudden, I heard, after an hour of talking to her on the phone, I overheard him say, "Let's fight. Let's do this without the cops." And I was like...
You heard him say, "Let's fight.
Let's do this without the cops. We could fight right now. We could fight right..."
I want to be very clear, because Whitney is taking, let's do this without...
The police.
The police. That you remember.
That I remember.
Don't speak. Let's do this without the police. And what's the next thing you heard him say?
They just started arguing, so...
Just a second. Would you go back, Whitney, please, and tell me what the plaintiff said? She said that he said two things.
Yes, let's fight. Let's do this without the cops.
Let's fight.
Saying that to my sister.
Shh. Let's fight. Let's do this without the cops. Which one was it? You said, let's do this without the police. That's one. Or let's fight. Let's do this without the cops. Which one did you hear?
I overheard him say both things to my sister, and I just hung up after that.
What both things?
He said, I didn't have no idea he was there. I said, "Cinda, who's that?" She said, "Dwight." I said, why, what's going on? And then I just hung. She was
What's
like, "Oh,
going on?"
Yeah, and I just hung up. I said, "Okay, I'm just gonna hang up."
Why?
Because they was husband and wife. Maybe it was just something they was just going through. I didn't know.
Now, just a second. Let me explain something to you. I'm beginning to suspect what you're telling me is a whole lot of who shot John. You're on the phone with your sister. You're talking about tests like you're talking about every day, blah, 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 blah. Then you hear something that would cause me concern. You hear, let's fight. Let's do this without the police. And according to you, what you said to me was, so I just hung up.
I said, "Cinda, I'm gonna hang up and I'm gonna call you back." She was like, "Oh, I'm gonna handle this."
Just a second. Don't speak. Yes. Let's go through it again, because now we're getting a different story. Let's do this. Let's do this without the cops. And then what did you say to her and what did she say to you?
I asked her, who was that in the background?
You said, who was that in the background?
And she said, Dwight. I said, oh, I thought he didn't be there anymore.
Okay.
And so she was like, oh, I'm gonna handle it. I'm gonna just call you back. So I said, okay.
Okay. She said, oh, I'm going to handle it. I'll call you back. So you didn't just hang up. Just a second. You didn't just hang up.
No, I didn't.
You had a
I
continued
didn't really
conversation.
want to hang up, but I hung up because she
You didn't just hang up. You had a conversation with your sister, and your sister said, I'm going to handle it. That's what you said she said to you.
Absolutely. After 20 minutes, I called. So I felt like they got into a fight. Why I felt that way, because
I don't care why
he had her
just a
arrested.
second. Just a second. I don't care why you felt that way.
Yeah.
I don't care what you felt that way.
Because he got her arrested on October 27th, 2020 for assault. I had no idea. I was calling her.
So we had her arrested in October for domestic violence.
Yes, 2020.
And then so a month before, he had her arrested for domestic violence. What happened to that case? Do you know, Miss Gaines? Do you know? The answer is yes or no.
No.
But you know he had her arrested. Okay, so now we're in November. Your sister has clearly allowed him back into the house, right? She didn't say, it's Dwight, he doesn't belong here, I'm going to call the police, because according to you, she's having a pleasant conversation with you. And he's talking, who is that Dwight? Oh, he's here. So you went to your sister's house.
Mm-hmm.
You didn't call the police because you were worried. You went over to your sister's house. Now I want you to tell me exactly what happened. Be careful, because you know I've been doing this for 50 years. Do you understand?
Yes.
What you're about to tell me, I've heard 100 times, all different kinds of versions, but certain things make sense and certain things don't. Do you understand? So now I'm going to...
I thought the police would be there by the time I got there because my sister told me...
I don't care what you thought. She told you what?
She told me she was going to go to jail and I just wanted
just a minute. We're getting a lot more into this conversation now. Hold on. First we started with I hung up. And then you said, my sister says to me, when
I called back, she said...
Just a second. So you called back and you got her on the phone.
I said,
okay.
Lucretia Gaines claims her ex-brother-in-law, Dwight Francis, assaulted her and lied to the police. Dwight is countersuing, claiming he defended himself from Lucretia's attack.
So you waited 20 minutes and you called her back.
Yes.
And you did, in fact, get her on the phone.
Yes, and that's...
Just a second. Now, I want you to go back to what she told me 4 minutes ago with I called.
I did.
And she didn't answer.
She did not answer.
After 20 minutes, I stay home. After 20 minutes, I called. I felt they got into a fight. Why I felt that way? Because he had her arrested. I was just scared
you
for
called
her.
and called. So now you called.
Halfway there, she answered the phone.
You called and she answered.
Yes.
Now I want you to tell me about that conversation before you went over there. I said to her, and she said to me, let's go.
I'm going to jail. She said, well, I'm going to jail now because he called the cops. And then I said, oh, okay, well, because I just felt like she was going to go to jail because she got arrested.
I don't care what you felt.
Anyway, I was only going to get my nephew.
You called her and she said, I'm going to go to jail.
You say he called the cops, so I think
he
I'm going
called
to
the
jail.
cops.
Because
he had a restraining order against her.
Protective order.
Right. And clearly something happened in that 20 minutes between the time you were talking about your tests and the time you got her back on the phone that suggested to you that something had transpired when she said, now I'm going to go to jail. So you went over there because you knew about the protective order because you knew she had gotten arrested in October. So now you go over there to do what?
To grab my nephew, because last time I went when she couldn't go back to her home that he moved in with her, he didn't even feed my nephew. And that's what I was afraid of.
Just a second. Is that their child?
No.
You went over there to get your nephew.
Yeah.
Now, what happened when you got there?
When I got
slowly, because right now you see, it doesn't go well.
I know.
You understand?
Understood.
Okay. So now you go over there.
When I got to their home, the defendant was standing outside. I finally pulled up. I saw no cops. So I asked him, why you keep calling the cops on my sister? That's when he took it upon himself to hit me in my face, knock me off the curb, because I guess it needed to fit his narrative. Come to find out, he called the cops and told the cops that my sister called me over there to fight him. Why would I fight for my sister? I shouldn't have went over there, but I did because I was worried about my nephew. She told me to. She asked me to get him the last time. She was like, can you go to the house and grab my nephew?
You left that out 5 minutes ago.
Sorry, because it was so much. And it had been so long ago.
Well, that's why you're supposed to bring a case as soon as you can after the event. The reason I assume you didn't is because COVID struck and they didn't dismiss both of your cases until recently. So neither one of you could have come to civil court. I assume that that's why you waited 2 years. I really don't care. Now, that's what you say happened, that you came over there.
The decoration, and we started with that.
Started with that. How much money in total did you pay Miss Goodwin for her work in planning your wedding?
I paid her $50.
Well, don't you think that's ridiculous? It is ridiculous, right? You called her and engaged her to be a wedding planner for your wedding. She wasn't your best friend. She wasn't even a close friend. You hadn't spoken to her or seen her in years. So clearly you called her to do a job for you that was her profession, her vocation. And in addition to doing that, she bought you your wedding dress.
Yes.
How much was your wedding dress?
I ended up, we got a few dresses. The first one didn't work out, and I believe that one was $200. And then
who paid for that one?
She did.
So the first one didn't work out. That was $200.
Yes.
And it didn't work out. Why?
I didn't like the fit on it.
Didn't like it. Okay, but you bought it. Well, she bought it.
Yes.
And where is that dress now?
I gave it back, and we ended up returning it.
Okay, so you got your money back?
Yes.
Oh, great. Strike that out. And what about the next dress?
The next dress, it was from Amazon, and we didn't like the fit either, so we ended up returning that one. And that one was...
Who ordered that dress? You or the plaintiff?
I believe it was me.
Okay, and what did you finally end up with?
I ended up getting a dress from David's Bridal that I really liked.
How much was that?
I believe it was $500.
Who paid for that?
She did.
So far you've paid $50 for her services, and so far, at least what I know, just for one dress, it was $500. Don't you think you owe her compensation for her work?
Well, she told me that, you know, she was really, really generous. She was giving, I did a lot of stuff, and I believe that I don't owe her because she offered to do that.
It sounds stupid to you. Okay, I know, it sounds stupid to you. How much did you lay out for her wedding? In the receipts that you have for me, how much did you lay out for her wedding?
$32,87.95.
And when you asked her to be reimbursed for that money, what did she tell you?
That she was going to pay some of it when she received her tax returns, actually her wife's tax returns, and also she was working overtime to pay me back. She also stated that she was going to be getting a judgment from a State Farm check that she would be making payments, and she did pay the $50 after she made a payment arrangement with me to pay $200 a month back. And she did make the first payment of $50, and from that point, she didn't make any additional payments. So we did work together, Your Honor, to try to sell the items that were at her sister's home. I requested both Kayla and her wife at the time to sell the items. They're sitting in her sister's garage in Stockton, where I do not live. I did come down for 2 weeks to try to help sell those items.
Were any of those items sold?
Yes.
Did you get any money back from
I
those?
did.
How much?
$106, and then I had to pay for shipping for those items.
How much did you pay for shipping?
$75. And the rest of the items are still in her sister's possession.
Okay, $32.26. How much did you pay for your wedding other than the plaintiff's participation?
$8,000.
Did you pay that?
My mom paid for the venue, and then I paid for the other things.
How much was the venue?
$4,000.
So you paid $4,000. You personally, and what about your wife?
Well, we share an account, so it was from both of us.
What about her $3,200? Just don't have it. Just didn't pay it. Okay. Anything else, Ms. Goodwin?
No.
$32.26. Judgment for the plaintiff.
This court is adjourned.
She told me that a lot of the stuff was gifts.
I don't have any more wedding woes.
She did a great job with the wedding.
She thought it was a gift.
She's really, really gifted at that.
Never gonna loan money to her again.
That was a relatively easy case. I think even the defendant acknowledged, besides just relying on the goodwill of the plaintiff, she had no real excuse to not pay her back, and makes our job easy.
Is suing vet assistants Heather Schilling and Hannah Hensley for damages from an assault.
Court come to order. All rise.
Have a seat, please.
Case 2122, Wheat Schilling Hensley.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Mr. Wheat, it is your claim that the defendants assaulted you.
Yes, Your Honor.
And this is what I gather from reading your complaint. On August 10th of this year, your cat was injured. How was your cat injured?
That I don't know. The morning of the August 10th, I had let him outside. When he came back in, he was acting peculiar. I picked him up and noticed that he had 2 long, deep gashes on between his chest and his stomach.
At what time was this?
Approximately 10:45, 10:30.
And the defendants work at the vet where you have taken the cat before.
Not this particular cat. I have 3 cats total, and I had good service from them, so naturally I went back.
They work at a vet where you had taken an animal, maybe not this one, before.
Correct.
So at that time, you put the cat in the car and drove over to where the vet's office is.
Yes.
And during that time, they had a COVID protocol in the vet's office. And the protocol, I assume, correct me if I'm wrong, because I know I've taken my pets to the vet during COVID. You get to the parking lot, you call, they come out, they check in the animal and what's wrong. And then they come out when someone is ready to see the animal. They bring them inside. You do not come into the office. Is that your protocol?
Correct.
Is that your COVID protocol? Well, it was in a couple of vets where I took our dogs. Were you aware of that protocol?
No, Your Honor, not at all.
So tell me, what happened when you got to the vet's office? Is there a parking lot?
There is. There was one other vehicle there. It was pulled up in the front of the door, the very first
The
spot.
papers indicate that there is a chart or a video of the parking lot. Is that correct?
We drew a diagram that they based that on.
Okay. So that would be a fair representation, sir, of the vet clinic, and there are parking spaces in front of it?
I believe so, yes.
Where did you park? Yes, please.
My car, I'm assuming at this point, the main door is approximately over here.
Okay.
There was the vehicle that I was mentioning is parked here, and I was parked here.
Okay, but you were parked right in front.
Yes.
Okay, is that right?
Yes.
Great. Okay, so what happened when you got there?
Well, I walked around the back of the car, got the cat out. He was in the passenger seat in the cat carrier. And I went immediately up to the door, and I don't know the defendants' names, but the younger of the two, she was already out front with a...
You mean the young lady in the blue sweater?
Yes.
Is that who you're talking about?
Yes,
You're
Your
looking
Honor.
over there. What is your last name?
Hensley.
Miss Hensley.
She was already outside with a customer at
Your
that
Honor,
point.
that was, it wasn't me.
Don't speak. Okay, so you say Miss Hensley was already outside
Well,
with another patient.
I thought it was Miss Hensley. It could have been another lady that worked there, but it was similar in youth and...
Okay, so somebody came out and was talking to another
They were
patient.
already there, and so they stopped me. I was proceeding up to the door, and I, like I say, I have pictures of the signage that they have. So you can't read the signage until you get right up on top of it.
Okay, so you went to the door, and what happened?
I went to go in, and I was stopped.
By whom?
The lady that was outside.
Okay, and the person who was outside stopped you?
And said that you couldn't go in, so I stopped. I told him that it was an emergency, that my cat was injured.
You told the lady outside?
That was outside, absolutely. Told him that he was injured and that he needed to see somebody immediately, the vet. And they suggested that I needed to call, and I couldn't understand that because I was already there. I said, "Can't you just go inside and let them know that I was here?" That seemed reasonable to me.
What they told you was to get back into your car with the cat and call the...
No.
Or just call?
Just call. So I said,
So she was talking to the person who I assume was a female, because you say Miss Hensley or someone resembling her. They were taking care of another patient that was outside.
Yeah, when they stopped me before I got...
And said, stop.
Correct.
Call, right?
Correct.
And you were upset, and you said, well, why can't you just go inside and tell them that I'm here?
Yeah,
Well, because she was with somebody else.
Well, it appeared to me that they were done.
Okay, I don't care what appeared to you.
yes.
She was outside with somebody else. She told you to call. What happened next?
Well, I set the cat down, and I actually sat on the concrete and waited. That person had...
Waited for what?
That person left. As soon as they got done talking with me, they went into the building. So, and I waited about 5 minutes. And then I guess it was Miss Hensley now. She came out and asked me now if I had an appointment, my cat's name. I said no. And I told her, I said, no, it was an emergency. And then she told me at that time that there was no vet on duty. And so then that's when I got up. I was upset. I said that I needed to leave. I did use an explicitive.
What did you say?
Well, I said that I needed to get out of there so I could get some help.
Okay.
And then I picked up my cat and the carrier, and I was proceeding to leave.
And?
That's when the other plaintiff,
Miss Schilling came out,
and she confronted me, and she started into a huge rant about how she wasn't going to stand there and listen to this or whatever.
Were you shouting at Miss Hensley?
No.
No. She told you that there was no vet on duty.
Right.
And you got up and you said, I'm going to get the whip out of here.
Correct.
That's it.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. The fact that I had waited 5 minutes, I was, it was upsetting. So then when she
Miss
came
Schilling
out,
came out and?
She started into a huge rant.
What did she say? A rant is a conclusion. What did she say?
Well, she had her voice raised. She was shouting at me.
What did she say?
She said that she wasn't going to stand there and let me say things to this other woman. So then I just looked at her and I told her basically to shut up. So
is that what you said to her?
I told her to shut up.
Okay, so you again used an expletive.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, there was no reason for
She said,
okay.
I'm just asking you what happened.
Yes.
So you told her to shut up.
I did.
And?
That's when she came over. She was probably about 3 foot away, and she stepped right over into me, and she put her body on mine. So she stepped right into me, pushed me back with her body, and she told me, I'm not afraid of you. I'm not intimidated by you. And I told her, don't touch me. Get off of me. And I told her twice, and she never moved. I put my cat down, and I moved her off of me.
What do you mean, I
pushed her back off of me.
You put your hands on her?
She was already on me.
How was she on you, sir? What physical part of the defendant?
Her chest, her entire body was leaning on me at that point. She body checked me.
I'd like you to go over there and show me where Miss Schilling came out and where the three of you were standing.
Okay, I have pictures as well.
Okay.
So here being the front door.
Yeah, right.
And here was the box where I was sitting. When I picked up the cat, I moved over to here. When she came out the door, she was approximately here. And then she moved over to me and put her body on mine.
When Miss Hensley came out and told you there was no vet, why didn't you just get into your car?
I was leaving.
Well, when she came out, why didn't you just go into your car?
No. The first lady that I encountered never told me there was no vet.
No. I understand that. When Miss Hensley came out and told you there was no vet, why didn't you just get into your car?
I was leaving. I had picked up my cat and literally was walking away. I had walked from here to approximately here. In that meantime, she came out, and I had my back to her at first, and she started to yell.
No, he wasn't. He was yelling in my face.
Just a second. I'm going to let you have a turn. As soon as he's finished, go ahead.
She started to yell at me, and that's when I told her.
Okay, go back.
Thank you.
And then what happened? So now she put her body on you. You put both hands on her and pushed her back.
To push her off me.
And then what happened?
Then she struck me.
How did she strike you?
With her open hand.
Where did she strike you?
On my face.
Okay, when you pushed her, she slapped you.
She did.
And next?
And then the other one slapped me. She reached over her shoulder and slapped me.
Okay, on the face.
On the face.
And then?
And then we started to argue, and it was just yelling back and forth. And then the gentleman came out of the vehicle that was parked at that first spot, and he kind of diffused the engagement. And that's when she told me, just leave, leave. I felt safe enough to turn at that point, and I went and put my cat back in the car. And that's when the lady in the blue ran behind my car, said, don't let him leave, don't let him leave. Ran behind my car and placed her body on my car.
And?
And then that's when I told her, I says, you can't keep me, you can't detain me here. I'm going to take my cat to someplace where I can get him some medical. And I moved her away from my car.
How did you move her away?
With my hands.
So you...
Open hands.
Okay.
That's when she turned and struck me with her fist, broke my glasses, gave me a black eye. I was defending myself at that point. I had my hands up. I'm all cut up on this. And then that's when I finally grabbed her by her hair and pulled her off of me.
Which one did you grab by the hair?
The brunette.
What was he saying to you?
Sorry, it's a lot. Reliving it. He started screaming in my face, and I don't even remember. I'm so sorry. I don't remember exactly what he was saying. It was really scary. That's all I know.
John Wheat claims vet assistants Heather Schilling and Hannah Hensley owe for damages after he was assaulted in the parking lot.
Okay, now prior to her going behind your car, you had no physical interaction with her.
Other than her hitting me.
She slapped you.
Correct.
Okay, got it. Okay, Miss Hensley, you came out at some point.
Mm-hmm.
What do you do for the vet?
I am a vet assistant.
And how long have you worked for the vet?
Like a year and a half.
So you've been working for the vet all during COVID?
Yes.
Is this the first incident that you had while you've been working at this vet?
Yes.
How long have you been working at the vet?
10 years now.
Have you ever had another incident like this, either during COVID or before?
Not like this, Your Honor. I've had to call the police before. We've had threats. We've had people shouting. Of course, animals bring out emotions, but never has anything ever been physical.
Did you know Mr. Wheat from prior visits with other cats?
I did not. I do know that we had seen one cat once before, and that actually was during COVID.
During COVID?
Yes.
So you checked, and it was the same COVID protocol?
Yes.
Even one?
We've had the same protocol since COVID started.
Okay. So the last time you took a cat there, you were familiar with the COVID protocol. Though, just think about what you're saying to me.
Okay.
The last time you took a cat there was during COVID, so you were familiar with the COVID protocol.
I believe I might have called before I went there.
And you waited in the parking lot. Somebody came out, took the cat inside.
I believe so.
And that's the protocol. And the reason that you didn't do that this time is because you felt as if it was an emergency.
Yeah, I was not aware of any protocol.
Yes, you were.
No.
Oh, yes, of course you were. Of course you were aware of a protocol, sir. The woman outside told you that there was a protocol. She said you have to call first. And she was speaking to somebody out in the parking lot. You know, you've had animals for a long time. When I go to the vet, there usually isn't somebody out in the parking lot. So you know that there's a protocol because you know that somebody else was out there talking to a patient and said to you, you have to call first.
After, yes.
And said to you, you have to call first. Okay. Now, you want to tell me what happened when you first interacted with him?
Yes, so he was sitting outside, and so I went out and told him that he would have to call to check in, that we were curbside, and he said that he wasn't calling anybody. And I told him that I was very sorry, that was not how we ran things, that he had to call and check in over the phone, and then that we would come out and then bring in his cat. And he said that he wasn't doing that he wanted to see a doctor then. And I was like, you cannot do that. And so then I asked him, did he have an appointment with us? Like, what's the cat's name? I'm not even sure, what we're dealing with here. I need to get an idea of what we're dealing with. And I think he said the name's Well, the cat was Pebbles. I don't even know. I'm not sure. But I asked if we had an appointment. He said no. And then I asked him what was wrong. And he said, the cat's bleeding out. She's dying. Or something along the lines of that. Screamed at my face. And so I said, sir, I'm so sorry. You need to go to an emergency clinic. We don't have a vet today. And so then he started screaming in my face, got up, screaming in my face, this.
Was there a vet there that
No,
day?
we were doing tech appointments that day. So just like nail trims, things like that, things that we can do without doctor.
So there was no vet there?
Yeah, there was no vet.
So you told Kim you have to go to an emergency room?
Yes.
And when you said there was some shouting, what was he saying to you?
He was basically saying...
No, not basically.
It happened a long time ago, so honestly, I don't remember the exact words.
Okay, so you don't remember exactly what he said to you. He was angry. Okay, he sort of acknowledges that he was angry. Then what happened?
I'm sorry, it's a lot. Reliving it. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. He started screaming in my face that we weren't helping and that he would be leaving, but he just was still screaming in my face. And I don't even remember, I'm so sorry. I don't remember exactly what he was saying.
Just take a minute.
It was really scary, that's all I know. And I told him that he needed to leave and he wasn't, and that's when Heather finally came out and told him that he needed to leave. She got in between us and was like, sir, you need to leave now. And she just kept saying, you need to leave now. And he kept screaming in our faces, and she was like, I'm not gonna have you screaming at my girls. That's what he's referring to when she got into his face. She said she did step into his face to push him away because he needed to leave. And she said, you're not gonna be screaming at my girls. He still was being belligerent, not leaving.
And at that point, that's when he spit in my face, and that's what caused me to shove him.
And then
So
he grabbed.
when you said, so we'll stop for a second. You came outside because you heard an altercation outside.
Yes.
Tell me what happened when you came outside.
So I did come at them. I stood in between the two of them, and I told him he needed to leave. He needed to leave now. I told him I was not going to have him talking to my girls like that. That wasn't appropriate. He needed to leave. And he was still shouting, and then that's when he spit in my face. And then I did push him away to get back from me, and he stepped forward. I did smack him with an open hand, and then he pushed me. And what he's leaving out is he actually grabbed my scrub top, and he was pulling on my scrub top, and that's why Hannah had stepped back in. She tried to get his arm off, which probably is where the scratches came from, and he grabbed her scrub top at the same time. So there was more contact than...
Where was the cat?
The cat was actually behind me. He had left the cat there.
Sounds like a little bit more, Mr. Wheat, than what you told me in your narrative.
They're lying. First off, she said that when she just admitted to the fact that she told me that I needed to call. And that's what the first thing I said when I came and pulled up is that the person that I met outside at the very beginning told me that I needed to call.
Yes.
And she just said that she told me I needed to call. There would have been no reason for the second person to come out and tell me that I needed to call. At that point, they came out and told me, asked me if I had an appointment, and I said no, that it was an emergency. And I had my cat the entire time with me until I put him down in order to push her off of me. That's the only time I put my cat down, and he was next to me the whole time. I would not have left my cat between her and me.
Mr. Wheat, these people have been in business for a very long time. Is it just possible, sir, that because of the circumstances, and you were there with a cat who was bleeding out, that you were high energy and maybe not totally composed? I mean, I have two people who work here, at least one who's worked for the same vet for 10 years. You've used this vet before. You haven't had problem with this vet before, and she's been there 10 years. And I assume that, at least she tells me, she's never had an incident like this before. So I can actually imagine, you know, I'm trying to put myself here. Somebody comes out and says to you, we don't have a vet on duty, which you probably didn't believe at the moment.
No, I did.
Well, if you believed that there was no vet on duty, why didn't you just walk into your car? Why did you say anything to her? Why did you use an expletive? Why was there any need to have any communication at all with her? If there's no vet here, okay, I better get my animal to...
Well, Your Honor, when I first pulled in and I had that conversation with whoever that worked there, and I'll use that term loosely, whoever, they knew what I was there for.
Don't tell me what anybody else knew, sir. You were not told that there was no vet inside by the first person that you encountered.
No. That's wrong.
No, I was absolutely right, sir, in what I said to you. So say yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Right.
John Wheat has accused vet assistants Heather Schilling and Hannah Hensley of injuring him after an assault in the parking lot.
Go ahead.
I explained that it was an emergency.
Just a second. The person that you were talking to, you just told me, was dealing with another client who had another animal out in the
And
parking
I told
lot.
him that it was an emergency.
Well, you know,
And
one
then
man's emergency is not. How's the cat?
Now,
Yes.
the cat's fine from that injury, but he's blind now.
Well, fine from that. Did you get the cat to a vet?
I did.
How far away?
20 minutes.
And what did they do to the cat?
Clean and sutured.
And you took him home?
I did.
And you took him the same day?
I did. Yes,
And when you went to the second vet, it was an emergency vet?
it was.
Okay. Did they have a curbside arrangement
No.
there? They did not?
No.
Had you called them if you
No.
drove? Well, you mean you drove 20 minutes not knowing if they could get to see a vet?
They're open.
How do you know?
I've been there many times.
Mr. Wheat, do you think that I think that you drove with your cat without calling first to see if they were open and a vet there when they had already told you that their vet wasn't there? Why would I get in the car? I would at least make a
The
call.
only other vet that's available right there.
Well, how do you know that that vet was available?
I've never been there where they've not.
You have any medical records for me to see of your injuries? I'd like to see
My
them.
injuries?
Yeah.
No.
Well, I'd like to see them.
I have pictures of my injuries.
I'd like to see that. Miss Schilling said that you spit in her face. Is that true?
That's not true. You're not. I don't have any lower teeth. When she was in my face yelling at me, and I was yelling back at her, that's when she made that accusation.
It was more than just a little bit of spittle, Your Honor.
It was what?
More than just a little bit of spittle, Your Honor.
It was he full on spit.
Okay. Do you have a police report?
I do.
I'd like to take a look at it. Okay, so the police report.
Living life, every day, late at night, not okay. All I want, and I pray, all I need are some better days.